Buy now and pay later. Buy now or pay later, popularly known as BNPL, is revolutionizing modern payments. In fact, you can call it as a revolution in the mini credit space or microcredit space for consumers. This is empowering consumers, and of course, it is a booster for retail. What exactly is BNPL or buy now pay later? BNPL allows consumers make purchases and make these payments over time, not exactly at the time of the payment. This is one key and the first promise of BNPL. Second promise of BNPL is, though it offers credit, you do not need a credit card to avail BNPL. This has become very popular in e-commerce space and in the retail industry. Key players in BNPL space include Affirm, Klarna, Afterpay, PayPal, etc. There are many more companies. You can check popular BNPL companies in your geography. BNPL saw a significant growth phase during and in post-pandemic or post-COVID area because e-commerce purchases gained prominence. So how exactly does BNPL work? BNPL works at the following premise. Say, for example, I am making a purchase. It could be as small as a $50 purchase, or it could be a $2,000 purchase for a significant electronic item. Whatever that range is. At the checkout, the consumer chooses BNPL as a payment option. This BNPL option is available on e-commerce portals like Amazon, on food delivery portals like Zomato. Instant approval. So the BNPL algorithms are such, if you opt for buy now, pay later, and even if you would not have utilized BNPL earlier with this company, the algorithm works in such a way that it immediately calculates the risk and goes in for an instant approval. And BNPL is typically for small purchases. So the risk exposure of the BNPL company is also limited. Payment plan. You are deferring your payment, but ultimately as a consumer, you have to pay. So this payment plan could be, say, for example, 4 weekly payments across 6 weeks, or a payment which you have to complete in another 21 days time. Merchant payout. So who takes up the exposure, and how does the merchant gets paid? So the merchant in the BNPL mechanism gets paid out. Merchant receives the full payment upfront, and the BNPL company will recover this payment from the consumer. So what are the key benefits of BNPL? Unless there are significant benefits, or unless there are, pronounced benefits for the stakeholders, the BNPL industry may not work. So we will focus on the benefits for consumers, benefits for merchants. For consumers, so there is no immediate financial burden. The consumer has to pay this money in interest-free installments, and the installments are transparent, and if paid on time, there will be no interest burden. For merchants, there is enhanced consumer loyalty, there is reduced cart abandonment. So cart abandonment is also not there for merchant. And BNPL is yet another payment option, so this provides a competitive edge in the market. What are some challenges and risks? Consumer debt. So a consumer may end up overspending, so the consumer has to regulate himself or herself. Regulatory scrutiny. You see, BNPL as an industry is highly dependent on regulation. If the regulator looks other way, BNPL may progress. But if the regulator tightens the screw, the industry may falter. Fraud risk. So fake accounts and fake transactions. Merchant dependency. So the BNPL industry is dependent on not only on the BNPL company, it is also dependent on the merchant. So merchant's dependency is higher. What are some market trends in BNPL or buy now pay later? Buy now pay later, there is a significant global growth, and we are witnessing a compounded annual growth rate of 20% for this decade, that is up to 2030. Demographics. So BNPL is getting quite popular among Gen Zs and millennials. Adoption areas. So core adoption areas include e-commerce, travel, healthcare, education, etc. Innovations. So there are some innovations also. Integrations with mobile wallets and super apps. Super apps like WeChat. If you have a BNPL presence there, you may end up as a winner. Regulatory landscape. So regulation will depend. country to country. Key focus areas: transparency in fees and terms, number one. How do you take up the credit worthiness assessment? And consumer data protection. How do we protect the consumer data? So this is something which is important. What is future of BNPL? Yes, future of BNPL is cool for the fact that it is one of the many payment options and consumer is the king. Consumer may opt for UPI, consumer may opt for credit card, consumer may opt for BNPL, whatever he wishes, we have to be ready with that. BNPL options may expand even into B2B solutions. Then traditional banks are also partnering with BNPL companies to offer BNPL solutions. Then the lending practices have to be sustainable. So sustainable lending practices are also important. Let's focus on this case study. We call this as BNPL in action. So there is a smartphone purchase to be taken up by a consumer. And let's assume that this smartphone costs USD 1200. And the consumer at the point of checkout pays nothing. But his BNPL installments there are 4 installments payable over 6 weeks. And there is an interest rate of 12% annualized if there is a late fee. So over 6 weeks, a regular payments, there will be no interest. But if you do not pay it in time, there will be a late payment. Calculation. Installment amount will be, 1200 by 4. 4 installments spread over 6 weeks. So say every 1.5 weeks we have to make the payment. On time payment, no additional charges. Late payments. There is a late fee, 12% annualized. Let us say the last installment, which is the $300 installment, is 1 month late. So then what happens? 1 month, 12, that is 12% on 12 into $300. That's $3 will be the additional payment. So total payment, which for the last installment will now be $300 plus USD3. That is $303 are to be paid. Just see, this is something like this. Interest is equal to 12 upon 100 into 1 by 12 because there is a 1 month late payment into 300. So this interest amount comes up to be $3. And also you have to pay the principal. So if it is 1 month late, you have to pay USD 300 plus $3, which is the interest. So convenience is there. You may appreciate that BNPL is one of the many payments option, and it is a growing payments area. Significant payments happen over credit and debit cards, over wire transfer, via automated clearing houses, via QR codes, via UPI. So we cover all this in our payments domain training, wherein in addition to what I have mentioned, we also cover payments messaging frameworks like ISO 20022, Swift, SEPA, etc. and payments APIs are also covered. So I invite you to join my payments domain training. We are leaders in domain trainings. We are leaders in business analysis training. I invite you to connect with me. This is your trainer and host Vijay Shukla, signing off for now. Thank you.